Hi guys, welcome to part 2 of the Ultimate Guide to Dark Souls 2. So, as you can see here, this is the stats that we ended the last part on. So this is, probably where you should be about, or where we recommend, you should be in the guide, or, that kind of thing, whatever.
So, of course, first thing we're going to do, head down the corridor and grab this sort of hidden chest. I mean, you'll miss it, but if you're not paying attention. But it's just a rusted coin, so don't worry about it.
So even if you do miss it, it doesn't matter at all.
Rusted coin improves luck. That's it. Who cares?
Useful if you're trying to farm a particular item. That's really all you'd use the
There are
rusted
better.
coin for.
There are better things you can wear though.
Yeah.
Like there's items in the game and armor in the game that improves your drop rate, so that's better. But anyway, so we just need to wait a stupidly long time for this gate to open.
I know, artificial lengthening of the game time.
And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to drop off this bridge. Now you can go around and walk down the plank, but it's just a chest with a human effigy in it.
Yeah.
Of course, you can jump this gap. We're going to show you can do it, but if you're not confident, you can go back up and then loop the way back round and just come in from the other direction, basically.
Yeah, if you go back up that plank, take a right, you can't miss it.
Yeah, and it's Homeward Bone and Soul of a Lost Undead. So the Homeward Bones are handy. You should have like 6 of them now, because the 5 you get in Majula as well as that one. So now we're coming up to our first enemy, the Hollow Infantry. So this is the Hollow Infantry. These guys have the chance to drop their entire armor set, which is alright. The ones with the dagger will drop the dagger, the ones with the axe will drop the axe, the ones with the bow will drop the bow, the ones with the sword and shield will drop their sword and shield, and all of them have a chance to drop life gems and throwing knives.
So moving on, these guys can be taken out very swiftly using the mace's two-handed lights. Morningstar. 2 hits should take out most of them. Some of them may take 3, but as long as you've got full stamina whilst taking on each one, you should have no issue with taking on any of them. So like that bonfire, it's the first bonfire in the game.
Yep. Now this was a drop, but you did get that life gem there, the one that was like just before the bonfire. That is a guaranteed life gem. And now at this point, we don't rest because we've already killed an enemy, so we don't want it to come back. You're just going to take your time, always be on the defensive when you're at this point because your armor's not particularly great and you have to two-hand in order to do some damage. So just always be in the defense, and as stated, they drop throwing knives as well.
Now, remember, you want to try and take enemies out one at a time. You don't want to get ganked, so remember, wait for them to attack before you attack because their recovery animations are quite long.
Yep.
Try and bait one enemy out at a time, and if multiple come, try and get them in a line, wait for them to attack, hit, move back.
Try and bait out both of them at the same time if you can.
Yeah, so remember, get this guy here. He looks like he's already dead, but he isn't, and obviously...
There's a soul packet in the corner. As soon as you go to pick that up, he gets up and then he back rages you, so just make sure you try and avoid that. It's relatively easy though, because they're on the ground, you've actually got the advantage if you spot them. So
exactly.
Don't worry about it. And now up here is where you'll find the first sort of difficulty peak of the area. Like, it is technically an optional difficulty peak really, because it's the one that the soldier doesn't aggro, but just do your best to try and do this part as we do. Now you want to go to the left and pull these 3 enemies as far away as you possibly can from the fog wall that's dead ahead, and of course the knight that's laying down by the tree.
Now remember, you'll be peppered with bow fire as well, so
just keep moving.
Yeah.
Like, so long as you're constantly strafing like side to side, then the bow really shouldn't hit you, because like, he's up top above the fog wall, so as long as you try and angle your way around that, you won't get hit. And another guy on the floor, as you've seen there, as soon as we got close, he was very quick to his feet. But now what we're going to do is ignore these items.
Just for the now anyway.
Yep. We're going to clear out the enemies because we don't want hit with bow shots while we're picking up stuff, because that's going to then force us to use more healing items. Now, 2 guys on the stairs, really easy to take out. Let's not even worry about them. Pretty corralled down the staircase, really bad enemy placement when you think about it, but screw it. And this item here, not in the official guide, but it's in the ultimate guide.
So obviously we're just walking along here. This is the bow enemy that had been shooting you the whole time.
Utilise that shield to get close to them. Wait for them to hit you with a bow, and then go back to two-handed because there's a delay. Let your stamina fully recover here if you've used all of it, because if you don't, you won't be able to sprint, and if you can't sprint, you can't jump, and if you don't jump, you'll fall to your death.
So remember to get onto this platform here, or otherwise you'll take an extreme amount of damage and possibly die if you're taking some damage if you fall from the full height.
The platform you can get there with relative ease. So at this point now, it's just clearing up the items, some life gems, human effigy, the usual.
Now this enemy here is a head knight, and it's the first time you'll encounter them in the game. We're going to use the gold pine resin to take care of him. You want to do as much damage to him as you possibly can in the shortest space of time.
Pulling out the dagger, because the dagger does an incredible amount of critical damage when you get the backstab or the riposte, but this is pretty much what you want to do. As soon as he stands up, just hit him twice, he'll stand up. As soon as he's about to turn, get him with a backstab and then wail on him and you'll get his weapon. It's a pretty good weapon, but we're going to have better, so just don't worry.
Yeah. So at this stage, we are going to get that item over there. Now, we somehow die here because we accidentally clip the rock.
Yeah. If you clip anything before you jump, it greatly reduces your jump distance. So yeah, now we're going to try that again. This time, we're not going to clip the rock, and you can jump the full distance. So just be careful, if even a pixel of the rock touches you, you're going to die again. So let's just go ahead and pick up these items. Soul packet and some throwing knives, which will be very handy later on in the game.
Yeah. So that's that area done, and it's relatively simple, but obviously you can get ganged up on really quite easily. Again, like we said, we want to try and get enemies one at a time, bait out their attacks. That's pretty much your
If there are multiple, try and corral them into a straight line so you can get multiple hits on each one of them, or try and get like one swing to hit both of them at the same time, that sort of thing. Just try and be really methodical and really tactical, basically, about how you're taking the enemies out.
Yeah, you never want to just run in wildly.
No, like for instance, this guy will get you if you run in wildly. So just be very careful of that. He immediately jump attacks, you can bait him, but you want to bait these guys more importantly. Two of them, you can get them in this narrow corridor and just wail on them with a mace. Or the Morning Star, rather. Yeah, your mistake again. Because the item that's in this room is actually very handy. Now, behind this cabinet, there you go. Some wooden bolts, they'll come in handy later on in this area. And this is where I'm about to die, because this guy's using a bastard sword, and they're very, very difficult. But let's go on and see what these guys can drop.
Just, once he's... Yeah, see, there. It's very easy. Like, we fucked up here, but... you'll see that they're actually easier to kill.
That enemy there, of course, as I said, the Hollow Soldier, they've got a chance to drop all their armour. It's just a better version of the infantry armour. They've also got a chance to drop their weapons as well, so you can get the Bastard Sword, the Halberd, Winged Spear, S-Stock. You can even get their shield. The ones with the Greatsword have a chance to drop firebombs. The ones that use the bow, but don't have a Greatsword, have a chance to drop life gems. The ones that don't use the Greatsword at all have a chance to drop Radiant Gems, and all of them have got a chance to drop the Longbow or the Wooden Arrows as well.
Now remember, we are getting these drops from the official guide, so you might end up accidentally picking up something that might be slightly different from this. Now remember, they will all drop the items that they are using. So the Greatsword one will drop the Greatsword.
The Bastard Sword in this case, and the one that uses the Halberd will drop the Halberd, etc, etc.
Okay, so taking on this guy again, as you can see, it is actually very easy. So long as you've got a full stamina bar, you can take him down in a single combo before he can even hit you. So obviously we just had a bit of a derp moment. But moving on, there's
Archer at the top of the stairs up here, but you don't have to worry about him really. He's the only Archer in the game that can't hit you, basically. The Archers in this game are ridiculously accurate, except this guy, who is just shit for some reason.
Yeah, he really shouldn't be an issue. Again, you can just, block with your shield, and then
two-hand as you get to the top of the stairs, take him out, two swings, and of course always be mindful of this guy with the firebomb. We're going to go ahead and use throwing knives to take him out.
You can of course just use a standard combo with the the Morning Star otherwise, but we're just showing you, I personally like using the throwing knives to take care of him because they're a really effective way of dealing with him, so he won't aggro and attack and stuff. It's just easier. And
watch this guy in the corner here. The enemies are set up in ambush locations throughout this area. It's one of the only areas in the game where the developers have actually utilised a couple of the I suppose the blind spots in the environment to their benefit. So definitely go ahead and keep an eye out for anyone who's going to back rage.
So it's there we got the buckler, and you don't have the stats to use it yet, but
you can still parry with it if that's all you're interested in.
Yeah.
You can still get the buckler parry without the 12 dex requirement. Don't worry about that. Now, we didn't grab the item that he dropped, mainly because, one, we don't care about dropped items, and
two, we probably just never noticed it.
Yeah, we died, so I was probably raging at the time, just super salty. And then the door didn't work either, so just wait the animation out as long as and tiresome as it probably is to just sit and witness. There's a few more items we want to grab before we go back to Majula, so let's go ahead and do that. Now we're going to drop off here and get everything on this bottom area. Now, once again, you've got the height advantage. Use your plunging attacks to your benefit. Use jump. The jump attack, the forward and heavy at the same time will give you a jump attack. It does more damage than just plunging. So utilise that whenever you can.
Now we're going to run along here and then jump the gap here just to get to the human effigy. Obviously you can get up via the little branch that leads up the way, but you know, it's just whatever, you know, you can just do it that way. Either way.
This guy here is a pain. You want to bait him back up towards the branch, but you see down there, there's two sort of wooden posts. Don't want to fight him there. You don't want to fight him here either, because what happens is your weapon will deflect off of it, but this guy won't, and he'll wail on you until you die.
So this part of the level is filled with quite a lot of enemies, so you really want to be getting your baiting a single enemy out into attacking you. You want to get that down as much as possible at this area.
So as you can see here, we're moving down this branch slowly so we can aggro them just one enemy at a time. So we've got enough time to kill one enemy before another approaches. That is ideally the way you want to take care of this, because there's quite a few enemies down here.
Yeah,
quite a few.
Obviously, most of them will die in the standard 2 hits from the mace.
Yeah.
So you've got that on your side. You can take them down relatively easily, but you just don't want to get ganked at any point in the game. Now in here you will get the hollow infantry helm. Also
not marked.
Hollow soldier helm.
Hollow soldier helm. Also not marked in the guide either. So yeah, this is another reason why the Ultimate Guide's better than the actual developers. But yeah, so it's just clean up at this point. Now this tunnel looks a lot more frightening than it actually is. You just step in it and then turn around immediately.
Because these 2 hollows, as soon as you come in here, will actually start to attack you. So you want to make sure you take care of them before you move on to get the item. Now in this area is where we will get the item, the weapon that we'll be using until the Iron Keep, which is a fair way through the game, and it is probably we would say, the best starting weapon.
You won't get more damage.
Yeah.
You won't get more damage starting off in terms of melee than this. So just wait for this guy, blow his first fireball, and then go ahead and open the door. You get plenty of time. As soon as the door opens halfway, you can roll in as well. So just go ahead and grab this. If you die, don't worry, just come back, keep doing it. This item is key to the way that this build works, because we use this item for a very, very, very long time throughout the playthrough, and we even switch back to it after we stop using it as well. It's very handy to have, and as we said, it's the most damage you can get at this point in the game.
Yeah.
And now round here is something that people who rely on the official guide have missed as well.
Yeah.
Quite a lot of items in this area were just completely missed out. So
at least on the map anyway.
Yeah, on the map anyway, yeah, they were missed out. Like Wikipedia will have it filled in and stuff like that, but the actual map, they are just not even there.
So we're now going to go back up to the bonfire. Now that we've picked up, that's all the items in that particular area, and it's great that we've got the weapon that we'll be using so early in the game. This puts us at a fantastic advantage for the coming areas, and it really makes a lot of the game an absolute walk in the park. I'm surprised you don't see everybody using it at this stage.
Yeah, like if I ever invade at low level, I 100% expect the fire longsword, but for some reason, I 100% of the time never see it.
So that door there, you can, as far as I'm aware, use a soldier's key to open it, which we don't have yet.
So we're not going to wait though, because the items up here are important. You get the hand axe and of course the radiant gem. And in this chest, you get the nipple shield, or the small leather shield as it's supposed to be known, and repair powder. But it's these 2 items here. You get an Estus shard, and down below, another divine blessing.
Which is fantastic.
You can't complain about that. You also get the small white sign soapstone, which isn't really important.
So you want to be careful about dropping off here. You want to make sure you're very accurate. When you land on the branch, don't move, because it should allow you to pick up the item regardless, but if you move, there's a chance that you'll fall off before you pick up the item, so just keep that in mind.
Even if you immediately try and turn around, you might fall off. Now this is Hag Malentia the Merchant.
Now, she sells a bunch of different items. She
the
sells
hand axe, which you just got from upstairs.
Yeah, she sells the cestus, which is the only place you can get the cestus.
Yep.
She also sells the travelling merchant set. We're going to take the head piece of it because it increases item discovery.
And that's great for this area because all the enemies drop life gems of some kind.
Yeah, so she also sells 5 human effigies. She sells life gems. Eventually she'll sell infinite. She sells some herb, fire bombs, I think maybe witching urns.
Yeah.
She sells throwing knives, a fire's lockstone, and Leningrass key. Now we're going to get the key just now because we're heading back to Majula. She also sells soul, arrow, and heal. If you're so inclined to use them. Yeah,
but the main important thing that we want from her is Leningrass key. That's the one that we need.
Yeah. So right now we're going to travel back to Majula, where we can actually use the key.
Yeah.
Okay, so here we are back in Majula. So now we get to utilise the key that we just bought. to open up this. Now this means that Lenegrast is available to upgrade your equipment, as he is this game's blacksmith. Now remember to pick up the short bow, which is something that we will again be using extensively throughout this.
Something that becomes a key item at a certain point.
Yeah, you basically, literally, because of the particular build that we got, you pretty much need the short bow if you want to do things the way we're doing.
Yeah, I mean, you do have other options like using magic and that, but for ourselves, because of how unpredictable FromSoft's patches are, we're going to go with pure melee and use a bow for range, just because it's the most consistent in terms of, we know they're not going to patch the bow anytime soon. So that's fine. Now we're going to upgrade the sword.
Yeah, upgrade it as much as you can at this stage, we guess, and now we're going to level up so we can actually use the sword.
Of course, popping any soul packets we've got as well, because we want to maximise our stats.
Now, when it comes to Lenegrast, he will actually, if you spend 8,000 souls on him, can't remember if it's got anything to do with if you spend 8,000 souls in total from upgrading your equipment, but if you buy stuff from him, if you spend 8,000, he will give you the blacksmith hammer. Yeah.
I mean, it's not amazing, but it is a good start if you can manage that. It's an alright weapon to start with, but
it's just a little extra thing, really. You won't get better than the fire longsword.
You won't get better than the longsword, yeah. The fire longsword is too good.
Popping the soul packets that we've picked up, which allows us to obviously level up more.
And then, of course, just talking to the Emerald Herald, all of it going into health. Every single bit of it is going into health. We're going to get that up as much as we possibly can after we've got the stats for longsword. So we're going to go 10 strength, 9 dex, and the build is, from this point on, nothing more than a health and stamina dump. It's pretty much it. We don't go any higher for quite a while. So we're going to have a lot of health, a lot of stamina, and the longsword does so much damage that it can carry you to Iron Keep and you will kill all enemies in 2 or 3 swings, which is amazing.
Obviously upgrading our Estus Flask again, so that way we've got 3 of them, and at this stage we're just going to head back to Cardinal Tower.
And continue on with clearing up the items.
Okay, so now we're back in Forest of the Fallen Giants, and at this stage we are going to move on to the next area. There's a lot of little like sub-areas in this main area, hence why this particular episode and area of the game is so long. There's a lot of really great items, a lot of things that you really want to just get done here. So
we're going to go back to Majula a few times as well. So yeah, so just be wary of the fact that there's going to be a lot of travelling in this one.
Yeah.
So now at this point, it's just taking on more elite, more hollow infantry, so that you can go ahead and clear up the items that are around about this area.
As you can see, you're doing so much more damage and quicker damage as well with the longsword. So
now that door there can't be broken because it's a wooden door, but it actually has metal reinforcement, so you can't break that one. So, but don't worry, once you get the soldier's key from the boss in this area, you'll be able to access everything. So that's great. Now that, once again, another ambush hollow sitting on the floor. Now, there's 2 things you can do here. You can drop off this branch and investigate down below, or you can do the smart thing and unlock the shortcut up top.
So there's 2 ways of unlocking the shortcut. Both require you to have some kind of
explosive or fire, which is great because you have the fire longsword. Even if you don't have the stats for it, use it to do this if you must.
Yeah.
Utilising the throwing knives once again to take out this guy. But first things first, we're going to show you your first proper glimpse of the Pursuer boss.
Now, that guy that we just used throwing knives on also throws explosives, so we'll explain that in a second.
But this is Pursuer. This is the penultimate boss of this area. Not the first boss, but he is the hardest boss in this area without a doubt. And he just disappears if you leave him.
Yeah,
you can kill him at this point and get his equipment, well, get the ring of blades off him and his soul a little bit quicker, but let's not bother with that.
So that's the shortcut there. As you can see, you had to use a fire weapon to make those barrels explode, hence why the hollow that launches fire bombs there, you need to kind of stand if you don't have anything like that, you can stand next to it, he'll launch fire bombs and it'll explode them that way.
Now, this is how you open the shortcut from the other side. Now, it's really difficult to aim your fire bombs in Dark Souls too. So what to do is, I've actually figured out a much better method than just this. Run up to the wall, face straight down and throw it standing right in front of the wall. You'll take the hit, yeah, but it opens the shortcut after 1 or 2 fire bombs. But you do need an explosive that will go on the other side. Your longsword won't work from that side.
Okay, so now we can carry on back. Now we've opened the shortcut.
Yeah.
We're going to go back slightly to the bit that we just missed that way, because we find that bit's kinda not difficult, but can be a pain in the arse, so you might as well just open the shortcut, rest at the bonfire, that way it's got to be slightly easier.
Yeah. Now we're just basically moving on, and we're going to go back down this tree and find the best invisible wall in Dark Souls history. Beautiful, isn't it?
Yeah, so that happened.
I imagine that's what it's like at the top of CN Tower. But yeah, so it's just clear out the hollows here. There's not that many enemies here, so that's not really a problem.
But it's their placement that can be the issue.
Their placement, they're placed very, very well. Like this guy with the bow, you can bait him.
Yeah, you don't want to go around there on the off chance that you might fall off the side.
Plus, because your weapon's in your right hand, it means you're swinging from the right side. You will deflect off the wall and be wide open for him to just go ham. So it's just, as per usual, using the longsword, you pretty much 2-hit kill everything in this area.
However,
so don't worry about it.
The placement of these enemies is a pain, so I recommend that you just run past them and keep running and jump over to here where it is safe. You kind of want to just get to this NPC quickly, and you don't really need to deal with them right away.
You also want to be very careful on that roof. You don't want to run out of stamina before you jump, because if you miss the jump, then you just fall and die, and watch out for this. There you go. So that's fine. So never grab an item that is presented that well for you. Never just go, oh, brilliant. Just don't, because FromSoft are likely to do something that will annoy you at some point.
So here is Cartographer Kale. He gives you the key to the mansion in Majula. Now we're going to talk to him, exhaust his dialogue, and eventually give you it. Now the mansion in Majula is very key to this playthrough. You get a lot of really useful items out of it.
3 very useful items. 4 very useful items actually.
Yeah.
And this is Amber Herb, so this is just more spell recovery for those of you that pick Sorcerer or Cleric as your starting build. These are the things you would want to use to restore your heal. Now, all it is now is back where we came from, so this is to show you that the boulder goes to nowhere, and as I said, back along the battlements to the next area, basically back to where we came from, the bonfire.
In this particular area, there's like one more item that we need to pick up, so I mean that's it really.
So that's quite handy, and that other item is actually another key item really, because it's a Titanite shard.
Yeah. And
the Titanite shards work out perfectly.
And we also don't want to be wasting our money buying Titanite shards when we can get them via drops and pickups, so, you know.
Don't even need drops. That's the good thing about this. Everything we're doing in this guide is pretty much, like, it's not reliant on a drop at all. There is a point where we do end up using some drop items, but that's at the point where the only objective for the build is to max out your gear at that point.
Yeah.
In which case, use whatever you can, farm items if you want to. But now it's just jump across and drop down here so we can grab the item down below, which, as we said, Titanite shard. Now, if you've been followed by enemies, you can homeward bone, but with a longsword, you can take them out from up top and not have too much trouble anyway.
Yeah. So, just got to move our way back to the bonfire.
Yeah.
With Melentia. Now, as we're moving back, I might as well mention this about Melentia now. Melentia will sell NPC gear. So there are certain NPCs in the world that if you kill, she will sell whatever they don't drop that they're holding. Now, that means that, for instance, Pate in this area, if you kill him, he will drop some stuff. We'll tell you when we get there, but she will sell his armor set essentially. So right now we're travelling back to Majula.
Yep, for the second time in this area.
Just to go into the mansion.
Yeah, here we are back at Majula. As we said, we're going to go ahead and go through the Majula mansion now that we got the key from Cartographer Kale.
Yeah, so obviously, you know, it has a bunch of items in it that we want to get, so, you know, that's why we're doing it just now, because the next place we go to, we need to use one of the items. So. Yeah.
So this is the item we're talking about right here. So there's a nice big open reading room, but there's a Pharos stone hidden in the back corner, and that is what we're going to utilise when we go back to Cardinal Tower's bonfire.
Obviously, we could have bought one off Melentia, but
that's 4,000 souls that we'd rather have at this point.
Yeah, at this stage of the game, 4,000 souls is worth more than what 4,000 souls is later in the game, so we might as well use...
4,000 souls is like 3 or 4 levels, which is very handy. Now, there's a skeleton in this basement, but very easy to take care of. Just only poke twice, so that way you've got enough stamina to roll back, unless, just 2 pokes, roll away, let your stamina regen, then all 3.
And he'll always drop a human effigy.
Yep, he doesn't respawn, and in this corner there's an Estus shard, bits of broken Lord Vessel, and here it is, the Soul Vessel. The one key thing in this mansion that we 100% would need you to pick up.
Yeah, you pretty much want to pick up all these to begin with, but we use them to basically further ourselves through the game at certain aspects. It allows us to respec into different things, and we use them to basically complete NPC quests. Yeah,
and it's at the point you see, like, when we use the first one, it is so key because it gets so many NPCs back to Majula, as well as it allows us to progress through the game as well, which is exactly what I'm assuming was intended for. Like, the general use is, I don't like this PvP build anymore, let's switch to a new one.
Yeah.
But we're going to utilise them in offline mode, because there is a way to do it, and we want to show you guys how to do it.
So as you saw there, we picked up some more Titanite shards, so this should allow us to upgrade our sword some more, which is perfect. Presumably we can get to +2 or 3 at this stage.
Yeah, so, I mean, it should be +2. Let's see. Yep, +2.
Yeah, so we're one shard away from upgrading.
Which
further.
We will get when we go back to Cardinal Tower anyway, so do not worry about that.
Like we said, we don't want to buy any, we want to use the ones that we pick up, which we get in the very next area, so you don't need to worry about that.
And of course, coming back here, we're going to level up again. We're going to try and bring our stamina and our health up to even stats. Now, the reason for doing that is quite simply that this is just health and stamina at this point. Yeah. So you're going to upgrade you're going to level up your health first, and then your stamina to follow, because obviously your health is more important.
Now, obviously, more stamina is good because it means that you can swing your sword more. The more you can swing your sword, the more damage you can have at output, or like the more you can swing, have a little bit left to roll away. So, you know, stamina is obviously it goes hand in hand with the longsword itself.
And of course, do not forget to use that Estus shard. Gives you 4 flasks. As a general rule of thumb, whenever you speak to the Herald, just hit upgrade Estus just in case.
Now, for some reason, we accidentally lit the torch there, but we're travelling back to Cardinal Tower now.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're back at Cardinal Tower, and obviously we're going to go left instead of straight forward this time.
Just as per, take out this guy with your throwing knives. He's not a big deal, but he's firebomb. Now, this is the Spear Hollow, the worst enemy in the game. Let him come to you, poke him down. If you give him a chance to get his shield up, he becomes an impenetrable fortress of hate.
Yeah. So, seriously, just so awful. So awful.
They're worse than Torch Hollows from Dark Souls 1. Now, down here, we recklessly just decide to dive off. But Green Blossom, grab it, stamina regen once again. Very handy.
So this is what should happen.
Yeah, ideally this is what does happen, is that you bait this so that the ballista kills them. But this is what did happen.
Yeah.
We didn't step in the room quick enough, so they didn't bait. But if that's the way it works out, don't worry, just hug this right wall and they will all funnel out into a straight line, so you can abuse the two-handed heavy of the longsword and poke them down one at a time.
This is why the longsword is so good, because you can do that kind of shit.
Yep, and that's 4 enemies that I'm taking out, no problem at all. I get hit once, twice, 3 times a lady. But yeah, I get hit twice there out of that entire combo, so that's not a problem. And of course, let's pick up the soul arrow, and let's pick up the soul packet and the blue wood shield.
Which is technically, I think it's technically better than the nipple shield, but you know, it's not. The differences are so small at this point, it really doesn't make a difference, because at the end of this video, we'll be getting the shield we'll be using for a long time. Now,
be careful with this chest, it's trapped. If a white fog comes out, it's a crossbow trap. If a mist comes out, it's poison. So roll away from the poison, immediately bring up your guard against the crossbow, because at this lower level, it will kill you.
Yeah, now remember, only if you've got a shield for the crossbow trap, otherwise it will probably still kill you if you don't have some kind of block. So just remember that.
Yeah, like definitely whenever you're opening a chest, make sure you're not two-handing. Always have your shield open, just in case.
You can still dodge the thing. Now, so we've got a Titanite slab there.
And the Chloranthy ring, which is incredibly handy.
Fantastic at this stage of the game.
It is a permanent green blossom, basically. It's just permanent stamina regen. Now at this point, this is a very cool thing you have to do. You need to hit this door a couple of times to get the attention of the hollows inside, because you can't open it from this side. And if I remember rightly, you can't even open it with the key. No, you can't. The door is locked, cannot be opened from this side, so you need to get them to open it. But this chest is crucial.
If it can't be opened from that side, it makes you wonder how the fuck they managed to get in there in the first place.
They've locked it from that side. They've done the mad, like, seal the front gates and just put the block of wood across the door.
Ah, okay.
No, I know what they've done. They angled a chair against it so you couldn't get in. But yeah, there's a chest in here, and it contains the life ring and your first large Titanite shard. And what that allows you to do is get more health and a +4 longsword before they even fight in the first boss if you want.
Yeah.
So it's beautiful.
Generally, we've always considered large Titanite shards to be the most valuable of the Titanite shards, because you want to upgrade your weapon as fast as you possibly can. The base amount, like normal Titanite shards, are plentiful supply.
You don't get any large Titanite shards from any merchants anytime soon either.
Yeah.
So this is Pate. NPC, bit of a dick, but we'll go ahead and explain what it is that he drops in just a second.
And if you talk to him now, he will become a summon for the last giant.
Just exhaust his dialogue.
Obviously, if you want to... We're going to summon him for the last giant because that's part of his quest. Now remember, what Pate drops is he will drop...
He'll drop the Ring of Thorns if you kill him here, and he will also drop his spear. But these are items you can acquire later on, so it's best just to avoid that. Plus, we want to complete his quest line so that you guys can see the penultimate battle between him and
Creighton,
another character in the game.
So, and remember, like we said, if you kill Pate, you can buy his equipment off Melentia. He is one of those kind of NPCs.
And just like killing Soldan, if you do kill it at Pate, you get a sin, which means you can be invaded by blues. This area here is a particular pain in the ass. It is full of spear hollows, halberd hollows, and greatsword hollows. So just take your time, and if they get low on health, feel free to chip them. But now we're just going to go ahead and grab the items basically. Now I can't see the video because you're looking at the notes.
Sorry.
But anyway, so what we've done there is we stepped out in front and we're trying to bait out a couple of hollows that are around this corner because they're a particular pain because there's an archer at the top. So this item here is
in a wall. It's called an action wall. You need to press X in front of it and it will only open at that specific point.
Yeah, but it contains the Sorcerer's Staff, which is the first staff available to you if you haven't went the Sorcerer.
Yeah.
And it also contains one Amber Herb, which you've got plenty of at this point.
Okay, so just quickly check there. Hopefully you're still watching. But to make a point, Cartographer Kale that you got the mansion key off, he is also a Melentiable NPC. If you kill him, he'll drop his helmet, but Melentia will sell the rest of his armor set.
Yeah, and you do want to keep him alive to exhaust his storyline anyway.
We recommend that you keep all NPCs alive.
Anytime you kill an NPC, you get a sin. If you get a sin, you can be invaded by the Blue Sentinels, and if you can be invaded by the Blue Sentinels, it means you're going to have a bad time.
Yeah. So talk to Pate again, and he'll give you the White Sign Soapstone.
The proper White Sign Soapstone, and then just keep talking to exhaust his dialogue. Make sure you've got him as a summon for the upcoming boss. Now this is where we're going to encounter a couple of new enemies in just a few moments. First thing you want to do, take out this guy who's just sitting here. He's a spear hollow. Don't give him the chance to get up.
Yeah.
Just wreck him immediately.
And behind here is a soul packet.
Yep, a large soul. So what you want to do now is there's a little ladder here just on the left. You want to go up there because we're going to pick up the light crossbow. And this is what you need the wooden bolts for from the start of the area. You need them for this crossbow basically.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead.
Funnily enough, this crossbow makes this very next sub area actually kind of easier to handle.
Yeah, just go ahead, equip the crossbow. Now you can't wield it, but when you two-hand, you've got double strength in this game. So don't worry, because now you can two-hand the crossbow, lock on, and then just pepper these guys that are down below you. Get rid of them, because there's 3 guys down here, and if you take out these 2 guys, it gets a lot simpler for you.
Yeah.
Now this jump is particularly tricky.
Yeah.
So it might take you a few tries. If you miss it, that's fine. You can go back downstairs and then try it again. Don't worry, as you'll see us do in a moment. But let's grab the Mailbreaker first, so that way we don't forget to tell you to grab it.
Yeah. So now down here, if you have a firebomb, you can explode those barrels to do damage to the bigger enemy. And if you're dropping down here, you want to drop down out of that window so you'll land on that little cart and you won't take damage.
But look what happens.
Yeah, so you could have firebombed that for the same effect. Now,
what I ended up doing there was rolling attacking with the longsword and decided that suicide was my best option.
Now that enemy there was
an ironclad knight. So basically what the ironclad knights drop then, those giant turtle knights, is they have the chance to drop their armour, or they will drop the effigy. They won't actually drop their club at this point. It's just the armour that they will drop. The armour's pretty cool. The chest piece prevents you from being backstabbed.
Yeah. And
it also has very high defences, but it is also very heavy.
Yeah.
So just keep that in mind. It's also not 10 out of 10 fashion souls, thus is not a viable option for anyone. But now at this point, it is just moving on, and you want to go to the right here first. Don't go left. Left leads you to spear hollows, and spear hollows are bad.
Yeah.
So let's just grab these items. Life gem.
Now the way I see with these spear hollows is you want to use the two-handed running attack
because it's got a poke.
So you can go poke.
Yeah, so you want to run an attack and then follow up with a heavy, but you want them to run towards you and then they'll just run into the heavy for you, which is amazing. And this guy dropped the Hollow Soldier helmet, I think it was.
Now there's an item down here. There's also another sneaky hidden enemy there, but yeah. So there's this item here. Pick that up. That's
Amber Herb.
The Amber Herb. Yep. Now here, there's actually a little trick to... Okay, we're not doing it quite yet. Oh no, we are, right.
We are.
So
Yeah.
there's a little trick to doing this particular area. You want to have your throwing knives here. So lock onto this guy and then launch throwing knives at him. Now when this guy dies, a hollow will jump down from the top.
Yep.
Now, normally what would happen is you'd run up to the guy, you'd kill him, and then this guy would corner you up at the top.
Yeah, and because you're on a very thin platform with no walls, you panic, you'll fall to your death more than likely, so try and avoid that. And utilise the range you've got with the longsword, because up here is the halberd and a generous soul packet. It's generous, but you get the halberd anyway.
The halberd will be your best friend come a little bit later on in the game.
Yep. There's two. I mean, the halberd's a heavy weapon. We're going to be using heavy weapons throughout this playthrough, basically, because they do a hell of a lot of damage, and the ones that we choose are actually quite simple to use. Now, this lizard, just wail on it.
Yeah.
Just wail on it. It doesn't matter if you miss the first one. Just wail on it until you get the items. If it goes against that wall in that hollow, a good thing to do is just leave a little distance and then go for the jumping attack. The jumping attack will probably kill it in one.
So there we picked up the large leather shield, which is actually a surprisingly great shield for its weight.
Very light, it's got very good block, and of course, what else are you going to eat your dinner on?
Exactly.
But yeah, so moving along now, we're grabbing the fire arrows. Now these are very handy, we don't want to use them at all.
Yeah. Just don't use your fire arrows until we say.
You don't even use them to bait enemies or anything like that. It's a bad thing to do because these come in very handy later on. Now what I'm doing here is I'm just getting a little bit extra souls, and I don't want you guys to get a surprise, so I stepped on the lift to bring this one up because there's an enemy on the other side.
Yeah.
So we're just going to go ahead, take him out, and then go back down to the bottom where we can fight the boss and we can summon the NPC. But this is the first boss of the game that you should run into if you're going this way. There are other bosses you can go to first, but this one is particularly easy at this point in the game.
Yeah, this is kind of the intended first boss.
Yeah, without a doubt. It's super easy, and of course this is an S-Stock hollow with his shield, so we're just going to shield bash him and then 2 hits to kill.
Almost as bad as the spear hollows, and you saw that it dropped the S-Stock there. Now, in there is, you can't access that area until much later on in the game.
Till after the Iron Keep.
Yeah.
So we're just not even going to bother with that area. And even after then, you probably don't want to go there anyway.
Yeah.
It's a horrible place.
In the Iron Keep video, we'll show you what's actually in that area.
Yeah.
So.
But now we're going to go in and fight the boss, the last giant. Now, a lot of people always ask, why does he wake up? I'm just going to fill this in because there's some time to spare. He's really easy. Get between his legs, avoid his stomp, and then just wail on him. The longsword does so much damage at this point that you don't even have to worry about it.
If you're doing it with Kale, it's...
It takes if you're doing it with Kale, then the boss takes less damage and has more health.
The issue with doing it with Kale is it can make his attacks a little more unpredictable because he can be going for Kale and you can accidentally get into, like his animation.
If he goes for that triple stomp, then, like, if he does that because of Kale aggro, pay aggro rather.
Yeah.
If he does that because of pay aggro, then he might go into that stomp and you might get clipped. But don't worry about that because you've got plenty of time to heal. Just find a lot of room and then just go for it. Stay between his legs, general rule of thumb, and just avoid the stomps, yeah. But what I was saying first is that people always ask, why is it that he just suddenly wakes up? Later on in the game, you access a giant memory where you beat the giant lord. This is the giant lord. He wakes up because he remembers you're the one that killed him.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. We didn't want a lot of lore to be in there, but this fight is not exactly exciting, so fuck it.
Yeah, so you probably wanted to go back, as you unlocked the shortcut at the top of the ladder, you probably wanted to go back to the bonfire and rest at that stage. That way your equipment will have been put back to full. Yeah,
but don't worry about it, because I mean, it's just the last giant. He's not a great issue. I mean, worst comes to the worst, you can switch back to your dagger and just keep doing what you're doing. He's not particularly tough, but I'm sure the longsword survives anyway.
Yeah, it does.
Which isn't an issue, so you can go through this and... Oh, no, fire longsword broken.
Now, another point to make is you want to make sure Pate stays alive, otherwise his quest won't work. Actually, I'm not sure on that, but you might as well just keep him alive just to make sure.
If you've summoned someone, try and keep them alive.
There's other NPC quests in the game where if they don't survive enough fights, then you can't complete the quest.
Lucatiel and Benhart.
Yeah. So that's the last giant there with Kale beaten, but we're going to show you a more proper way.
Yeah, we're going to show you how to do it by yourself if you're not interested in Kale.
Yeah.
Pate. You keep making me say that, but look at this. He's taking far more damage now because you're on your own, and he's obviously a lot simpler as well because it's just it's only his own aggro, so we're getting completely slammed for some reason.
The issue is that you want to run through his legs.
Yeah.
As you run through his legs, you attack his feet, and
it's also good to fight him without lock on, because when you lock on, because he does hop backs like that, and he stomps his feet and stuff like that, then it messes with your camera angle and it makes dodging a little bit tougher.
What just happened there was kind of the perfect situation. You want to roll through his legs, attack him, and then roll back, back the way, depending on his attack. So he, like you saw the first few times, he done that backswing and caught us when we were behind him. And sometimes he'll do an attack where he'll attack forward, so like that.
Yeah, now what you've seen me do here is I'm equipping Homeward Bones because we're looking to bait out his entire moveset for you so you can see what he's capable of.
Yeah, this
is the triple stomp, basically, probably his most damaging move, to be honest with you, his most dangerous one. So like, that's basically what we're doing here, is trying to bait out that entire moveset so you guys can see it. And of course, once he gets low enough in health, he rips off his arm. If you're lucky, you can cut his arm off so that he can't rip it off and use it against you. But it's just much
pointless.
More. Yeah, it's much more hassle than what it's worth.
Exactly.
Now, he does do one attack that we may not have been able to capture, I can't quite remember, where he just stands up and it falls. He just slams his body on the floor. That attack is particularly devastating if it clips you, so just try and be wary of that as well. But you can avoid that as well by rolling backwards. No, I thought he was going to do it there, but that was just his slam. But don't worry about him. He's not a particularly difficult boss. So yeah, it should be pretty easy for you guys to take out, and you shouldn't have much trouble. If you're having trouble with this boss, then I would suggest practicing on your dodging and probably getting used to the longsword moveset a little bit more as well.
Yeah.
Because this is a weapon that we use for the majority of the playthrough, and if you want to follow our guide, then we suggest you do the same thing because it's broken as hell.
As you can see, his moveset is relatively easy to telegraph. You know, he swings back like quite far there, so you've got time to roll away. Yeah,
there's like quite a lot of the bosses in this game, you'll notice the movesets are like easily spotted. Like, it's easy to see. That was me screwing up the roll. But yeah, the moveset's really easy to spot, so it's not really much of an issue. I can't remember if I just kill him at this point or if we do actually homeward.
Nah, at this stage, the reason we've not killed him at this point is because we were trying to
get the moveset, yeah.
Yeah.
Got him down to lower than half health so we can get him to rip his arm off so you can see that extended moveset, but now it's time for us to...
It wasn't doing the slam, but frankly it's not really important because, as you can see, he's an easy boss regardless.
Yeah, and that is pretty much how you take him on by yourself. Just stay between his legs and just keep doing that. Now, because we unfortunately broke our sword, we're going to be short a couple of souls to repair it, but that's not really an issue. So we don't need to bother worrying about that. So the next thing that we're going to end up doing now is going back to Majula now that we've taken out the boss.
Yeah.
We're going to go back to Majula and spend our souls.
Not only that, we've got the soldier's key, which allows us to unlock the rest of this area from doing that boss.
Yeah, as we said in the beginning, this is quite a long area. This is like, they literally hit you with an Anor Londo at the start of the game.
Yeah.
So just be mindful of that.
So we're going back to Majula now to level up.
We're
back in Majula to level up. So first of all, we need to repair our longsword. Like we said, we should have went back and rested at the bonfire, so make sure to do that before you go into the boss fight.
Yeah, because that just costs us near enough 1,000 souls. But regardless, we're going to upgrade it anyway. So we're going to go ahead and get this upgraded to +4 now.
Yeah. Now remember, you could have upgraded to +4 before fighting the last giant as well. We obviously didn't need to because we're pro as fuck, but...
Even though the last giant looked like he wrecked us for that.
Yeah, I know.
We're pro as fuck, trust us guys. So now it's just popping our soul packets. Now, we're not actually going to pop the boss souls. The reason for that is that you guys might want to make weapons out of them or anything like that. Unfortunately, with the last giant soul, you can't actually make his giant arm and use it as a fucking great hammer because that'd be hilarious. And FromSoft don't have a sense of humour. So we're just going to level up now. If you guys want to use boss souls, just remember at this point it's just health and stamina. Don't go any higher than 40 health, 40 stamina. After that, you can probably pump it into adaptability or you can put it into equipment load.
Now, what does the last giant's soul actually get you?
Nothing.
You can make it into something.
Can you?
It's like the giant stone axe or something.
I'll check Artifacts now then. But I'm not 100% sure.
So, there's certain blacksmiths in the game where you can take souls to in order to change the souls into weapons. Now...
Ornifex's name is one of them, and the other one is, of course, Strayed of Olafus.
It will be Strayed for...
Will it be Strayed?
Yeah. The last giant soul you can make...
No, it's not straight.
It is.
Oh yeah, giant stone axe. You were right.
Yeah.
Well done.
So you can make the giant stone axe out of the last giant soul. Now, we've never even used it, so it's probably not really that great a weapon, honestly. So it's probably not recommended that you use it. But
it's a great hammer, to put it quite simple.
Yeah.
So it's probably not worth using, to be honest. Great hammers aren't particularly well known for being brilliant.
So if you want, you can pop the soul. However, if you want to test out all these boss weapons, which we actually recommend, it's
a lot of fun.
Yeah.
And it's weapons that you don't see often. Like, you don't see a lot of boss weapons in PvP anymore. It's a lot of katanas and rapiers and stuff like that. You don't see a lot of boss weapons. So definitely have a look at some of it. We'll unlock these merchants later on anyway.
So here we got the Ring of Restoration. We only wear it for a very short period of time.
Yeah, we wear it until we beat the next boss. Its
restoration effect isn't good enough to justify wearing it much. Now, that place where we just walked past, that is another later on in the game area that we come back to, so don't bother with that. You didn't miss anything
And of course, take out this guy once again just so he doesn't backgrade you, because we can now open this door with a soldier's key.
Now, this is probably one of the least enjoyable areas in the entire game.
This area is going to be throwing your face into a brick wall until it falls, basically. It's such a pain.
Now, there's a bunch of these ironclad knights that we talked about earlier.
The turtle knights, the ones that drop their armour that stops them being backstabbed. Pro tip for these guys, don't go behind them. If you go behind them, they will do a reverse sort of back. They'll just throw themselves on their back, and it does a nice bit of damage to you. So at this point, just bait them onto the stairs. Use your jumping attacks to great effect because of the added height. Only
on the stairs, though.
Yeah.
Now, the best strategy for dealing with these guys is you poke and roll away. Poke, roll away. Now, behind us, there's an actual item that we actually missed.
No, I'm sure we got it on the way back.
Well, regardless, still say it just in case.
The item that's there is... Where's the map key? It should be this one here, actually. Where'd it go? I had it in front of me.
It's a Homer Bone and Black Fire Bombs.
Yeah.
So just in case we don't get them on the way back, they are there. Just behind where we were.
Yeah, so now, that's fine.
Again, using the poke and roll strategy, that is probably that is the best strategy that we've got. With the fire longsword also seems to make quite
it does good
work
damage
of them. In comparison to the defense that they actually have. The fire longsword does a really good amount of damage.
That's that backslam attack I'm talking about. Now, quite a few people I've seen do this. They've got a particularly easy time rolling backwards with the slam. I personally prefer just to roll through it, and that's an item that isn't even marked on the guide. Is the torch? It's not even marked on the guide again. But yeah, I find it easier that you want to get them looped in that vertical slam because it's just really easy to dodge. Now at this point, we want to jump this gap. We want to get to this bonfire as quickly as possible, and we want to bait all of these guys up so we can get them in a straight line. Now, this is a chest with the leather armour, and I believe it also has quite a nice soul packet in it. It's got a large soul of a proud knight.
Now, there's a lot of these ironclad soldiers, so this is what we find to be our most effective method of dealing with this.
It's the stairs funnel them. The stairs funnel them. You've got a reasonably nice sized platform to work with here as well. So all I'm doing is baiting them all up here so I can get past them and go light this next bonfire and try my best to stay alive and manage enemy placement as much as I possibly can. Have as much of an influence on the enemies as possible.
Weirdly enough, doing it this way we find is actually easier than going around the way. So
yeah. Plus the fact is when you're doing it the normal way, that hollow that we took out is an archer, and the archers are stupidly accurate once again, as I've said, stupidly accurate in this game. Now we want to light this, but don't rest.
Yeah, that way we can obviously go here if we need to.
And this is the leather armour that we've just picked up. It's not the best looking gear, but it is a direct upgrade. It's much better, and I believe it's lighter than the imported set that you had in the beginning. So we're just going to use that, and this is where a seed of the Tree of Giants can spawn. Now, what they do is use them. If you burn them, if you consume them, put them on your hotkey bar, tap square or X if you're on Xbox, or whatever it is for PC. And basically what that does is all the enemies in the game in this area will become aggro to anyone who invades you as well, which is really handy.
But it's a PvP only item. Now, the reason we're not going in the other entrance in this area is it means that there's an enemy that you don't even need to deal with.
Yeah, there's another turtle knight.
Yeah.
So instead we can just ignore that, take out these two guys and grab the bastard sword. Which by now, if you've been fighting like the hollows or farming or anything like that, you've probably got one dropped.
Now
so
the last items to get are up here. This bit we just recommend you just run and grab them, because again, more of these fucking things
just
that you
bait
need to deal with.
Bait that, grab them, and then get out.
Yeah, just
you can roll off of the corner, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Like, there's no reason to go about this area any longer than this. There's no other items here.
Yep.
And as I said, I am 100% sure we grab these items on the way back.
Just in case we don't, on the right hand.
Yeah, I spotted them.
Ah, okay, so we did miss it. But yeah, there's the item that we missed last
Black
time.
Firebomb and Homeward Bones. So now we're just going to go back, and that's every item there. I'm sure I'm standing there going, is that even marked? Because you didn't tell me it was there.
So the next thing to do is we're off to fight the Pursuer.
Uh-huh.
That was that guy on the big platform that you saw earlier on.
Yep, so we're just going to breeze past this area. We don't want to spend too much time here, because this guy is... I mean, I'm not going to lie, he's a difficult boss. Our first time around, it took us too long to beat him.
Yeah.
It took us too long. And like most enemies in this game, he is also... You can parry him, which is stupid. Like, stupid. I counted. There is like maybe 5 or 6 bosses in the entire game that you can't parry. It is so stupid.
Velstad.
You can.
What?
You can parry Velstad.
You're kidding.
See his one-handed horizontal swings? You can parry Velstad. It is so stupid. You can parry Mytha.
So again, you can use a soldier's key to get in here.
Yeah, so you have to kill the last giant to get to Pursuer.
There's a bunch of hollows, but you know, fuck it. Just deal with them. Just run past them if you want. Generally, we do.
Yeah, but I mean, they're two hitting them with the Longsword's heavies, so that's not a problem.
So we're going to show you 2 ways of defeating the Pursuer. One, the retardedly easy way, and then the other more legitimate way in case you fuck up the retardedly easy way.
Or in case the Pursuer doesn't want to play nice and breaks your equipment, because we're going to utilise the environment once again.
Yep.
Which is really handy. So, you seen earlier on in the video, we went ahead and we used the ballista to kill an enemy where the Chloranthy ring and all that gear was. Now, this is how we're going to do it this time around. We're going to parry the Pursuer.
Well, we don't parry him. You can parry him when he does that attack there, or you can dodge. Either way, it's still going to miss his
and it works as well. Now, if you parry him, the advantage to parrying him is that when you do the parry, you can actually hit him with a ballista twice if you parry him right in front of it. The risk is if you miss the parry, he's going to break the ballista and then you can't do anything. But the longsword does so much damage anyway, he's just trivial.
Yeah.
So there you go.
Now another point is that if you can't beat him the legitimate way, you can spend all your souls and then just grind that method out until you actually beat him.
Yeah, you can just... It's essentially a suicide run.
Yeah. So here's the legitimate way.
Yeah.
Basically, what it amounts to is that you can literally just strafe to the right of him and he can't hit you.
Yeah, I mean, there's also the odd attacks that you want to dodge. He's got some cool spin to win that's never going to fucking hit you.
Yeah.
So, we didn't
even know he had that attack.
Until we done the guide,
I've never seen that before.
But the method for this guy is always be rolling to the right, except on the, like, when he pulls his sword behind him and dashes towards you, you want to roll left through that.
Now, the issue with what Stephen's doing is Stephen is rolling here, and sometimes attacks can clip you when you're rolling. You don't even need to roll. You can strafe, and it still won't hit you.
I feel more comfortable rolling. Maybe a few of you guys would feel the same. But yeah, like that one hit me there because I rolled the wrong way. See, that's what happens when you roll to the left. Always roll right.
The advantage of rolling is it can create more distance. But as you saw there, rolling through that attack is still clipped him. Even though it never hit him, it still clipped him.
That attack there is your opportune moment to heal. Yeah. Estus, Life Gem, whichever one you want to use, it's your opportune moment. You've got 4 Estus on you at this point, as well as you have a legion of Life Gems. Now that Melentia has gone back, you've got infinite Life Gems as well, so if you do run out, you can go and grind some souls and buy as many as you like from her in Majula. She will sit just near the bonfire.
As you can see, all of Pursuer's attacks are actually relatively easy to dodge so long as you know what you're doing.
For whatever reason, he gave us so much trouble first time around.
Yeah.
But now it's not really that much of an issue. Try and avoid that.
That shield bash is the thing that you can't strafe to dodge.
Yeah.
But you can strafe to dodge all the other attacks. Like, for instance, he didn't even need to dodge there.
Yeah, I mean, you don't have to, but I feel a lot more comfortable when I feel more comfortable rolling. I'd rather spend the stamina than risk getting clipped, because I'm sure if he hits you with one of them, if he combos you, you're dead. So, just be aware of that. That dashing attack is by far his worst, but the best attack that he can use on you, technically, because it's the easiest one to get out of the way of. And you've got plenty of time as well to life gem after each of his combos.
Now, you want to make sure that when his sword glows blue that he does not hit you with it, because he will
unlock
stab
a new
you
moveset,
and it will then curse you as well. Now,
which lowers your maximum health, and he gains the ability to cast more magic at you. Like, already what he can do is, like, do you remember the Moonlight Sword from Dark Souls 1? What am I talking about? Of course you do. But basically what he can do with that is that he can fire his sword and a beam will come out the sword, like much like the Moonlight Sword. It'll just fire a wave of energy at you. Now, when you get cursed by him, he gains a whole new casting moveset, so try and avoid that.
So that's him there, and now we've got the Ring of Blades, which we're going to equip because it will upgrade our attack a little bit more.
Yeah.
Now we're going to jump down here to get the Drangleic mail, which is the armour that we'll be using throughout the game.
And the shield we'll be using for quite a while as well.
Yeah, so it's great that we've got all this stuff so early.
The Drangleic chest, I'm gonna tell you right now, the Drangleic chest, we will use it for the rest of the game.
Yeah.
Like, we will switch between that and maybe the Hexos, but
yeah, like a lighter set sometimes. Now,
depending on the boss.
The reason why the Drangleic set is so good is when we worked it out, you do not get an armour set with nearly as much defence
for that weight this early in the game.
Yeah, and by the time you've upgraded it, you'll be able to upgrade it before you get even better armour as well. So really, the Drangleic mail is also, there's no armour lighter than it that has more defence as well. It's one of those, it's like a step up in terms of the armours before it.
If you're moving into this weight bracket, it is the best possible armour for you. You can't get better at a lower weight. Unlike the Alva set, where you get the Llewellyn armour, which weighs far less and is just far better.
Yeah.
So it is a very good set. Now, what we're doing here is we're just very lightly touching the Lost Bastille. Like, the only reason why we're going here is because there's a few items we want to grab before we go back to Majula.
And there's a setup for this part. Basically, if you do it now, it saves doing it later on.
Yeah.
And it means that you can warp here, etc. And just doing it now makes sense.
Yeah, like you can just come here, grab what you got to grab, and that's you. So we've got the bonfire, and now it's time for us to go back to Majula, spend the souls we got from the Pursuer. Now, you can craft the Pursuer's Greatsword with the Pursuer's Soul, but like we said, we're not going to bother popping it. You guys can pop it if you want. You can craft his soul with it. You can craft either his sword or his shield with it. It's up to you guys what you prefer to do, but you won't be able to craft boss items until much later on in the game.
Yeah. Now, the other issue is that we don't even need to pop the boss souls in order to maintain a really good level. We actually maintain a higher level than what's recommended in the guide consistently throughout the game, just going on the methods.
Yeah, like constantly at least 10 levels higher than the recommendation.
Now, we need to upgrade our strength to 16
and our dexterity to 12, so that 16 strength so we can use the Drangleic shield, and we need 12 dex so we can actually use the short bow.
Yep.
And our vitality as well is going up to 8. 8
and that
vitality.
Is it for the full game.
That is it until the build is complete.
And not only that, now it's just health endurance up until the Iron Keep.
Yeah, to put it very simple, it's health and endurance all the way through until we hit Lava Land, basically. So now what we're going to do is bulk up. Now, this game's very strange in which you can go to 70% and still maintain a half roll. Now, the half roll is fine. We'll just refer to it as the medium roll, I suppose. It works. It's plenty. All we're doing now is equipping our armour and maxing that 70% as much as we can. We want to get as close to it as possible, and this is the stats that we finish the Pursuer with, and this is the stats that we're going to quickly touch the Bastille with as well.
Yeah.
So just make sure you try and match that. The 16 strength is important, the 12 dex, also important.
We're just going by some arrows with extra souls we've got left over, we may as well. Arrows are helpful. You
could have spent that money on life gem as well, but the arrows are going to be useful in terms that we can use them to bait enemies, and of course just overall having some form of range is handy in a Souls game.
So in this area there's a bunch of pretty useful items that we want to get. It sets us up for some quests and shit like that, so you know we kind of want to just get this out of the way. Basically there's this like one small area that you need to do if you want to do the rest of the Lost Bastille later on, so we want to do it now rather than later.
And of course the reason why we're tacking this on the end of the Forest of the Fallen Giants video is because we're not actually going to do anything more in the Lost Bastille than grab the items that are necessary, such as that large shard and the Radiant Gem. Now right here, nudge this barrel, pull up your guard, or just run to that corner and
normally
you're fine.
He gets hit.
Yeah, normally he gets hit, usually blows up, but another good way to make sure he gets hit is when you nudge the barrel, walk up and block right in front of him. He will get wrecked.
Now, we're not going to be covering enemy drops at this particular area.
Yeah.
We'll cover that in the actual Lost Bastille video.
Which will be a couple of parts from now. So don't worry about that, but we do need this though, which is the antiquated key, and the covetous silver serpent ring has made a return.
Both these items are integral to this build.
Yep, so we're immediately getting rid of the blue seal for the silver ring, so that way we get more souls. And of course we're going to... The Ring of Restoration's on right now, but we're going to take that off for the Ring of Blades. We should have it off for the Ring of Blades, it's just because we're doing this bit a little quickly. But yeah, so our arrows are going on right now, and that is just in case we need to use them, but we probably won't. Now, another thing, as we said, do not, under any circumstances, use your fire arrows. You need to keep them, because the next time you can get fire arrows isn't until near enough the... In fact, I believe the next time we're able to buy fire arrows is the final, Great One soul.
Yeah.
So that's too far away.
Now, in here is Lucatiel. Now, this is the first part of her quest line that we'll be doing.
Yeah.
And you just want to exhaust her dialogue here. And if you do it, if you exhaust her dialogue here, she becomes a summon for the Lost Sinner.
Which is later on.
Yeah, we'll explain that later on, but you just want to do this just now.
Yep, and it's one of the boss fights that you need her to win, essentially, because one of them is just impossible.
Yeah. So
the next thing we're going to do is not suicide. We're going to go up here because there's a ladder that is actually kind of well hidden. And what's up top is a large Titanite shard.
That's actually another reason why I want to come here. We get 4 or 5 large Titanite shards in this area.
Yeah.
Which means that we can upgrade our sword even more earlier, which is fantastic because it sets us up to just...
Yeah.
This small bit of investment is even difficult, and it makes the rest so much easier.
Yeah, so for these giant mummy guys there, what you want to do is just go ahead and slay them. Just go ham.
One two-handed light combo should be able to kill them.
Yeah, just be careful with this last one though, as we pick up the pine resin. Be careful with this last one though. That's why we're using the bow, because we want to hit this guy and we want to bait him towards us, because we want to take him away, because there's an explosive barrel there that we actually need.
Yeah.
It is required. Basically, you might have to do this a couple of times, to be honest with you, because the barrel is hit and miss whether it does it or not. You want to nudge it, and it will go down the stairs. Hopefully, do that where it gets close enough.
Now, it should actually make it explode, to begin with.
Yeah.
But you can just run up and hit it and it will blow up. Basically, it smashes the wall up and there's a bonfire behind it.
And if you've got fire bombs, or even if you don't have fire bombs, you're still fine. You can go ahead and just use your longsword if you want to, but take out the dogs beside you first and try not to hit the barrel. So the reason why we're lighting this bonfire is because we need to use the torch. The reason why is so we can get access to a chest. There's a blacksmith in here who will not move off that chest until you light the torch, because apparently he's afraid of the dark. Because he's a fucking idiot. But yeah, so now that we've rested, you'll see that he's moved, and he'll now be on his anvil. You still can't access him as a blacksmith or a merchant yet.
Not until later.
Not until later on. But this room has some great items. Loads of Titanite. There's 2 large Titanite shards right there, I believe it said.
Yep.
As well as 5 regular Titanite shards, 10 iron arrows, and 10 heavy bolts. And in the chest he was sitting on is a twinkling Titanite and the craftsman hammer. The craftsman hammer is an alright weapon. Not something we'd recommend over the longsword.
We don't recommend anything over the longsword.
At this stage in the game, we recommend nothing over the longsword. It's so much better. Even the Hyde Knight sword does respectable damage, but the longsword is just so much better.
Now, the only way to actually maximise more damage is by power stancing the Hyde Knight and the flame longsword.
Yeah.
But that's the only way you're really going to get any more
And that
damage
requires much more stat investment anyway,
yeah.
So you don't want to do that. And at this point now, it's just a case of working our way through the last part of the Bastille that we haven't touched yet. So, now, we get quite lucky here in the fact that this guy dropped an item. As we said, we're going to cover this in the next video, but he did drop the Lingering Flame Pyromancy.
Which is a retardedly rare drop for him.
It's stupidly rare. And it's a Pyromancy that isn't really even worth using.
Yeah.
Basically what Lingering Flame is you cast a small orb in front of you, and when an enemy gets close, it charges and blows up. That's it. So you can't cast it at an enemy, you have to cast it and then the enemy comes to you, so it's completely useless in PvP, other than put this here, run away and make some distance.
Yeah.
That's pretty much it. So, but we're not going to cover PvP because this is a PvE guide. So, as I said, work our way back through the Lost Bastille. there's actually an easy method to take out this guy, which is very handy. What you can do is, not from this side, but from the other side, you can go onto this platform up here on the right, and see if you hit him with a firebomb, he will fall down that little gap instead of coming up to fight you. So like off here, you can throw a firebomb off to the right, and he'll fall down the gap. Now, this area here, this is the best way to do it. So you want to get your green blossom on, you want to get that stamina recovery as quick as you can, because you're going to have to think quick. Walk in, walk out. You're going to have a lot of enemies aggro, and just two-hand that longsword and funnel them at the door.
Yeah.
When you run out of stamina, back off and roll as soon as you can, and just rinse and repeat until you've killed them. There's about 5 enemies to take out in total. But the longsword, once again, showing that it is invaluable. It is so good, and we're getting a lot of drops here, but we'll cover all that once again in the other video.
Yeah.
So now, you can go down this way and open up a shortcut, but don't.
Yeah, you don't want to open up the shortcut to this door, because it actually
isn't good.
Yeah, basically, if you open up that shortcut, it means that it aggroes more enemies
when you're going to do the boss, because there's 2 on the other side of that gate that you can get away with not aggroing.
Yeah.
But if you go this way again and you've opened that gate, you will aggro all 7 of them, and that's bad. And this is the worst shortcut in the game. So where that dog is, where we picked up the gold pine resin earlier, just before the mummy, where the fire barrel, you're supposed to be able to walk off and land in that door, but it's like a 1 in 10 chance. And once again, the game is very generous in that it went ahead there and it just decided, here, you know what, have this massive soul packet.
So at this stage, we're going to homeward bone back to Majula, but that has us picked up all the items in this area that we can access at this point.
Yeah.
There is a boss, but we're not doing that just now because we are very under-leveled for that boss. You can do it technically, but it is a very difficult boss, especially for newcomers, and it can even throw off more experienced players as well. So really, you want to just travel back to Majula and, you know,
spend your souls accordingly on health, stamina, upgrading your longsword, etc, etc.
The main thing is the antiquated key. That is the main thing you want to get.
And the covetous silver serpent ring.
Yeah.
Now, you do get a +1 off of Malentia after you spend 9,000 souls. So, we'll be able to get that later on. But for right now, the covetous silver ring will do, because it gives you more soul gain. So every time you kill an enemy, every time you pop a soul packet, it gives you more. Sorry, I was wrong. It was 10,000 souls you spend with Malentia to get the covetous silver ring +1. But it's utilised very well. We don't take the covetous silver rings off at all. That's how we manage to stay 5-10 levels ahead of the recommended level.
Yeah.
For each area.
Honestly,
even Shrine of Amana is a cakewalk, and that is known for being one of the most annoying areas. So that's us got a +5 longsword, and we're just going to spend another titanite on the short bow. We're not going to put it to +4 because we need the large titanite for our halberd, which we'll use later on in the game. So it's very methodical how we've done this. The game gives you enough materials to upgrade 2 weapons to like +10 easily, but not at the same time. So we're going to utilise that, and we're going to upgrade the fire longsword first, and then we're not going to put that higher than +5 at this point. That's where it's going to stay until the Iron Keep, because that's where
it gets to +6.
Does it get to +6? I don't remember it doing
we get enough upgrade materials to get both the halberd and the longsword to +6 by the time we get to Iron Keep.
And that is the end of the video.
Yep.
So as ever,
this was a long one.
Yep, definitely. This is like the Anor Londo of the game, as we've said. So as ever, you can click the last episode link, and that will take you back to the first part of the guide for Majula and things betwixt. Or the next episode part, of course, because we're going to go to Hyde City next.
Yeah.
Of course, all our information's on screen. Facebook, Twitter, Twitch. We do have a donation link set up if any of you guys are interested. It's in the description.
It's up to you.
Yep, it's down there. And of course, do your best to make a Twitch stream, because we've recently reached an all-time high in viewers for the one stream. We've got over 700 followers now on Twitch, which most of them are you guys, don't get me wrong, but there's even new people joining what has now been dubbed as the Gay Bar. So definitely, guys, catch a Twitch stream whenever you can. But that is the
we
Forest of the Fallen Giants.
Hope you enjoy this.
Didn't miss an item, guarantee that.
Remember, if there's something that we did miss, tell us so we can possibly improve the guide in later videos.
If we missed an item, Tony will strip again.
Yeah.
We're that confident in this one.
Okay, so we'll see you in Hyde City.
See you guys.